Good morning. Happy Wednesday, the 24th of July. Welcome to Take 5 today. My name's Adam. I'm with you all this week. We're looking at the first few chapters of Exodus. We've looked at 1, 2, 3, and 4 the last couple of days. Today we're looking at chapters 5 and 6. Now, up to now, God has come to Moses and he's said to him, you're going to deliver this message of deliverance to Pharaoh. You're going to kind of convince him to let my people go. Moses has kind of kicked back a little bit. Moses, he's not sure of his own ability. And God is like saying, that doesn't matter. Like, you're talking about you as if it's about your ability that's going to make this work. He said, it's not about you, it's about me. I'm going to be with you. So when Moses says, I don't think I can do it, God says, I will be with you. Like, you're asking the wrong question. It doesn't matter how great you are. I'm going to be with you, and you need to go and do this in my power. So we come to chapter 5, and it starts off with Moses doing exactly what God has told him to do. It says, let's have a look in verse 1. It says that, chapter 5, it says, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel says, let my people go. Let my people. So he does exactly what God has told him to do. And I don't know what Moses was expecting in this moment. I suspect if he was anything like me, he was expecting Pharaoh to go, oh, God says that. All right, then, well, let's do it then. I better do it. And capitulate straight away, because God has said this is what's going to happen. And so Moses delivers the message, and he's expecting Pharaoh to say, oh, okay, then yeah, they can go. But that's not what happens. You see, God's got it all in hand. God's got timing, and generally he wants the glory, essentially, because he's God and he deserves the glory. And so he's going to kind of do things to his own timescale to maximize the glory that God is going to get. We know that when God promised Abraham that he would have a son, I suspect Abraham expected that to happen. All right, well, me and Sarah tonight will go and do what we need to do, and we'll have a son. It took decades for the son to be born. And it wasn't until Abraham and Sarah were both past kind of age to have children that God gave them a children. Why? Because there's no doubt then that God is in control. Like, it becomes this great testimony of God's power and his lordship. And so Pharaoh says no, essentially, and he cranks up the slavery thing. He starts enslaving the Hebrew people much, much worse. He makes them make bricks. If you read it, it's really fascinating. So he really comes down hard and starts to oppress them, gives them more trouble, gives them more hardship, which means that now the Israelite nation is cross with Moses because he's like stirred the pot. He's kind of put fuel on the fire, and he's made their life even worse. So Moses comes back to God and says, look, why have you done this? Why have you brought trouble on us like this? You haven't rescued your people like you said you were going to do. And this is what it says at the beginning of 6. And this is where it gets great. I love this. And this is what I want us to pick up today. It says, the Lord said to Moses, now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. Because of my mighty hand, he will let them go. Because of my mighty hand, he will drive them out of the country. And then he says, I am the Lord. And throughout this next few verses, God says to Moses, that phrase, I am the Lord, like I am Yahweh, he says it, I think, 4 or 5 times. And he keeps saying it. I am the Lord. He starts with it, I am the Lord. He ends with it, I am the Lord. Go back, read this passage and count how many times God says it. He says, you need to get this through your thick skull. I am the Lord. Like, nothing can, if I want this to happen, it's going to happen. But it's not going to happen through your timing, because I am the Lord. And so it's going to happen how I want it to happen. And so he says, verse 6, therefore say to the Israelites, I am the Lord. I will bring you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians. I will free you from being slaves to them. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with mighty acts of judgment. I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God, who brought you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians. And I will bring you to the land I swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. I will give it to you as a possession. I am the Lord. Like, he's making it so clear that he's in charge, he's in control, he's going to do what he's going to do. And then we have this moment where Moses says to the Lord, if the Israelites are not going to listen to me, Why do you think Pharaoh will listen to me, since I speak with faltering lips? So he says that in verse 12, and then he says exactly the same thing again right at the end of the chapter. In verse 30, he says, but Moses says to the Lord, since I speak with faltering lips, why will Pharaoh listen to me? And it made me think of Paul in the New Testament writing to the Corinthian church. I don't know if you remember when Paul is talking about this thorn in the flesh he has, and he says, and I ask God to take it away from me, and God says, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in your weakness. And I guess there's a great message for you today. He is the Lord, and whatever weakness you think you have, whatever infirmity, whatever think negates you from doing the will of God or to seeing God's promises fulfilled, let me tell you, that's probably the thing that will make it come about, because that's where you will lean into God all the more. So just like Paul said, he says, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties, for when I am weak, then I am strong. As we recognize our own weaknesses, as we recognize that we have faltering lips, or that we've got something going on in our lives that we think discounts us, that's where God steps in, because we lean into him all the more. And he would say to you today, I am the Lord. I am Yahweh. I'm in control. Trust me, have faith in me, lean into me, and let my strength be the thing that brings you through it. I'm done. Have a great day today. We'll see you tomorrow, Thursday. Bless you. Bye.